I have to poop. Well, not right now, but generally, and I'm sure you do too. And when I'm settled down to take a dump, I prefer if the toilet allows me to decide when I'm finished, instead of suddenly flushing mid-crap, splashing my backside and leaving me cold, wet, and uncomfortable. I can't. Wait for it a second, jeez. Automatic toilets aren't just inconvenient. They also waste water, as do normal urinals. Because of this, I propose that new public buildings should be required to have manual flushing toilets and waterless urinals moving forward. Automatic toilets have a spotty track record, even if you ignore their tendency to randomly flush before, during, and after an ill-fated attempt to drop the kids off at the pool. For one thing, their sensors aren't always very sensitive, and they can have trouble picking up dark colors. Say if you're wearing a dark shirt, or if you happen to be black, they might not go off at all. And even though newer technologies can help remedy this problem, they can't change the fact that automatic toilets always go off without your direct input, which can frighten young children who are just learning to use the toilet, startling them with the loud noise and sudden flush. Now, I don't know about you, but if I have kids, I don't want the added burden of having to explain to little Johnny that no, the potty doesn't actually have an alligator inside of it. So, I mean, basically, automatic toilets are inconsiderate, racist, and tend to scare children. And if you wouldn't tolerate it in your friends, I say you shouldn't have to take it from your toilets. Now, more importantly, both automatic toilets and normal urinals waste a lot of water. California has, of course, long had issues with droughts, which led our Energy Commission back in 2015 to approve a maximum standard for the amount of water that can be used per flush.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, she gave you a two, but I was like, go ahead.
Now, 2 years prior to approving this standard, they found that 28 to 40% of all indoor water use is from toilets. And another report by the Sustainable Sanitation and Water Management found that in an average workplace, each urinal consumes about 10 gallons of water per male employee every day. Now, one Florida study found that when automatic toilets were installed in a workplace, the restroom water use nearly doubled from 650 to over 1,200 gallons per day. This contradicts claims by companies who manufacture these sensors, who say, of course, that their sensors save water. They also say that somehow these sensors improve sanitation, which we all know isn't true. Toilet flushes spray bits of poo water everywhere. There's nothing you're going to do about it. The Mythbusters proved it, and shooting a laser at people's butts really is not going to change that. Now, that raises the question, if these toilets are so crappy, why do we keep building them? Well, in the case of automatic toilets, it's pretty simple actually. The answer is money. Because automatic toilets sell for more than regular toilets, so companies market them more aggressively, and that explains their current rise in popularity, despite the fact that basically everyone hates them. With waterless urinals, however, the story is a little more interesting. In this case, the people responsible are plumbers, in an odd reversal of Super Mario Brothers. You see, waterless toilets use fewer pipes and require less maintenance than regular urinals. So plumbers' unions took advantage of a legal technicality in the California Plumbing Code to keep waterless urinals illegal for several years, citing, of course, public health and safety concerns to, hide the fact that they just wanted to be paid more money for maintaining the urinals. One inspector briefly looked over some waterless urinals and then firmly asserted that the chemicals leaking from them could cause paralysis and death, despite the fact that he hadn't run any tests, and that there were several other states where these urinals had been legal for years, and that there had been conspicuous absence of urinal-related homicides during that time. Now, ultimately, this problem was solved through a compromise where the plumbers were permitted to install the usual number of pipes, despite the fact that waterless urinals didn't need them. All of these issues with both regular urinals and automatic toilets can be resolved if we opt to install manual toilets and waterless urinals. And both of these alternatives have a number of advantages. For example, one report for the Massachusetts Executive Office of Environmental and Energy Affairs and several other offices with similarly long names that I can't be bothered to repeat, found that in a workplace with 1,000 male employees, replacing the urinals with waterless ones would save 1.56 million gallons per year. And in that same study, it was found that 7 out of 10 locations that installed waterless urinals had a positive experience with them. The only exceptions were prisons and dorm rooms, mostly because frat boys and prisoners have a tendency to pour odd substances down the drains. Now, another advantage of manual toilets is that they give the users more control over their restroom experience. For instance, they make it easier to flush the toilet to clear debris from the previous user, or to flush it a second time if necessary. And finally, in 2004, Arizona made waterless urinals mandatory in all state buildings. This measure saves them about 30,000 gallons per urinal per year. And if Arizona was able to implement a policy like this, it proves that such policy could be potentially successful here. So, despite the opposition that both of these bathroom fixtures have faced from modern technology and entrenched maintenance organizations, making them mandatory will not only help save our state's limited water resources, but also might make trips to the bathroom a little more pleasant. After all, we can't afford to let our valuable clean water go down the drain like this. I mean, I haven't even sat down yet.
Yeah, how about some questions for Isaac? Come in quietly, do you have a question? How about some questions for Isaac? Roman?
What made you choose this topic?
The potential for toilet jokes, no question. Yeah.
So the water toilets were illegal, but is it not illegal anymore? Or is it still illegal?
They're not illegal anymore, but the fact that there was such a fuss about them made them less popular than they really should be, given the water savings.
Do you have another question? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so honestly, I am not against you, but I understand why there's automatic toilet system right there, because there are people who do not push the button. Honestly, because I used to clean in the cinemas. At nighttime, when I leave, there's like everywhere. It's dirty. So the reason why it's there, because for those people, it can clean somehow that when the janitors come in, it's more sanitary for them to start cleaning, and that might be the reason.
Okay. So you're saying that automatic toilets, help prevent people from, leaving it in there after they finish.
Yeah.
Which is a good point. But I mean, I still think to some extent it's outweighed by the fact that, it doubles the water use for everybody. So, that is a good point that deserves more discussion, of course.
Let's give Isaac another big round of applause.